people, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with a story time about the literal worst vet experience I have ever had in my entire life. What happened to us, I feel, was really unjust and terrible, and I'm going to share it with you guys today because it's a pretty wild story. So, I have a cat with my boyfriend. His name is Bimo. He is not in this video because he does not live here. He lives with my boyfriend, and I'll probably insert a clip or a picture of him so that you have an idea of what he looks like and what he's doing. The time that the story takes place, Bimo he had just turned 1 year old, so he's still practically a kitten when all of this was going down. He is now 3, so don't worry, it's not a dead cat story. He's fine. I know people hate it when animals die, so don't worry, like he doesn't die, so you can keep watching and you'll be okay. When this story takes place, we had just gotten done taking him to the vet for some routine checkups, shots, deworming, etc. And he was fine. He was fine. He also had a really serious case of fleas, so we got that taken care of, and that was it. We left the vet and he was totally fine. 2 weeks later, all of a sudden one night, Bimo just starts meowing, like crying, meowing. And I can count on both hands how many times my cat has actually probably meowed in his lifetime. He's not a very vocal cat at all. So it was already incredibly strange that he was meowing like that and just nonstop. He was, going at his lower region and just acting really, really strange. We would try to pet him and touch him, and he would meow whenever we got to, like around his butt area. And we were like, dude, what's wrong with you? Like, oh my gosh, what's happening? We stayed up with him all night long and wound up taking him to the emergency vet the next day. And we honestly didn't think that something really serious was wrong because he was kind of acting like he did when he had the worms. So we thought maybe they just didn't get rid of all the worms and they'll just do that again. It'll cost exactly how much it did last time and we'll be on our way. So Sunday at this vet is the emergency day. A lot of vets in my area are not open on Sundays, and the other emergency clinic, there was one other emergency clinic that I knew of. That one I've heard like horror stories about. So we wound up taking him to our regular vet for their emergency day. We called before we got there and let them know that we think we have an emergency, there's something wrong with our cat, and we need to come in, even though we don't have an appointment. And I must say that it said on their website that they take walk-ins on Sundays for emergencies. It said that you can do this. We get there, we talk to the receptionist, and she said, okay, someone will see you shortly. By the time we are in there and we're sitting down, he's like screaming in the cage, and we're getting really, really worried because we're thinking now like, oh no, this might be something a lot more serious than we anticipated. Our cat is literally sitting here screaming in his cage. And I get that we didn't have an appointment and they did have to see other people before us. However, there were 2 other people in the veterinary office when we got there. And after we got there and checked in at the desk, a couple of other people came in. They took everybody else before us while our cat was screaming in his cage. And the receptionist, she even made a comment about it like, oh, he's like meowing really loud or whatever. And we're like, yeah, no duh, there's something wrong with our cat and that's why we're here. Finally, one of the nurses that I actually really liked from there, she came in and took us into one of the rooms and took a look at him and said, oh my gosh, this cat has not peed or gone to the bathroom in a really long time and his bladder is so full it's about to explode. So we were like, holy shit, basically, At this point we realized that we are in a lot deeper than we thought we were, that there's actually something seriously wrong with our cat. So the nurse was like, we have to go get him unblocked and able to go to the bathroom right now. And they whisk him away from us and leave me and my boyfriend kind of dumbfounded sitting in the room by ourselves. We're sitting there and we're getting really, really scared because we realize that something is really, really wrong, and at this point we're like, I don't know how we're gonna pay for it. And we were in no way prepared for how much the bills they were going to present us were going to be. And I have to say at this point that I do definitely take some responsibility for not having enough money to pay for my baby's treatment. I was younger at the time. Neither myself or my boyfriend were in an incredibly great financial situation. Still kind of aren't. But there's a lot of weird circumstances that led up to us like literally just not having the money. And if there is one lesson that you take away from watching this video, make sure that you always have an emergency fund for your pet. Just put some money away just in case something like this ever happens, because you never know, and you could wind up in a situation like this, and it's the most terrible thing. So just make sure that you always have a backup plan in order to pay for your pet's care in case you ever have something happen to them. Anyway, the doctor comes in and presents us with two different bills. The first bill was for about $545, and that at that price, it wouldn't completely cure him. He had as they described to us, a urinary blockage where he had crystals and I guess like kind of like a sand type material blocking his urinary tract so that he was unable to go to the bathroom. It was kind of like a really, really terrible bladder infection. And apparently this issue is very common in cats, and really important fact here, completely treatable and curable. Obviously, if it's left untreated, it's a life-threatening thing, but if you take your cat to the vet like we did and treat it, he'll be totally fine. Keep that in your brain. The next bill was for $1,200, which would completely cure him of everything, but to us at the time, that was an astonishing number. We did not go to visit the vet on this day thinking that we were going to have to come up with $1,200 to pay for our cat's treatment. So we asked them if we can do a payment plan, because first of all, it's Sunday. Banks are closed on Sunday where I live. So how are we even gonna like get to a bank? Also, I had a credit card at the time, in case anyone was wondering. It's gonna say, why don't you just pay with a credit card? I did have a credit card at the time. Unfortunately, it was a student credit card, and it only went up to $500. So couldn't even cover the first treatment with my credit card. My boyfriend didn't have a credit card at the time. Between the two of us, we really didn't have $1,200 either that we could just pull out of our ass to pay these people and not like starve or have BMO starve and not be able to like, live for the next couple of weeks. And so we were kind of like, all right, we have to figure out what we're gonna do. We tell them, we can't pay for this right now. It's Sunday. Is there any way that we can go on a payment plan or some sort of credit in order to get him taken care of? And they say no, flat out, wouldn't work with us at all, wouldn't even take him in the back room to start anything without us giving them any money. The only thing that they did do was put him under sedation to check out what was wrong. So now they proceed to push the fact that he's under sedation in our faces for the next few hours. They leave the room and say, we're going to let you think about what you want to do, but we suggest that if you can't pay for the treatment, that you should put him down. Put him down? Our cat is just turned 1 year old. He is still practically a kitten, and he has a condition that is ultimately completely treatable and curable. Why on earth would we want to put our cat down? They're like, because you can't pay for it, you should put him down. That's immediately what they said, and they left the room to leave us to think whether we were going to find $1,200 to pull it out of our butts or put our cat to sleep. At this point, my boyfriend and I are both hysterically crying. My boyfriend keeps saying, we're going to have to just bite the bullet on this one and put him down because we can't pay for it. We're just going to have to bite the bullet and put him down because we can't pay for it. And I'm like, no, I refuse to have that happen. So I call my mom, and she says that unfortunately there is nothing that she can do to help me. She's crying on the phone with me because she wishes that she could help, but there was nothing that she can do. Matt calls his parents, and they both say that there's nothing that they can do to help us either. So my parents are separated, so then I call my dad, and he didn't pick up the phone. And I kind of knew at that point that my dad would help. He just needed to answer the phone, but he didn't. So Eh, that happens, and the doctor comes back in and says, have you made a choice? And we said, through our tears and hysterical sobs, no, again asking if there's anything that they can do to work with us. And the doctor goes, well, you can just take him home, but he'll just die in 3 hours by the time you get him out of here. Literally said that. And then he said, well, you could also take him to the ASPCA in Manhattan, which from where I live, Manhattan, New York City, is an hour train ride. So yeah, I'm gonna take my half sedated, sick and crying cat on an hour-and-a-half train ride into New York City to, I don't even know where the ASPCA is, probably take a cab or a subway, put him through all this trauma to get, realistically, like, they knew that we weren't going to do that. They said then that we could get a care credit card. It's called Care Credit. Actually, it's a good thing to know about if you ever are in the situation. You can get a credit card for your pets called Care Credit. And we could do that, but guess what? They didn't accept it. So how does that help? They knew that they had us in their grasps, that we had to do something with them at that point, whether it be put him down and pay for that or pay for the treatment. They knew that they had us locked into something. He leaves again, leaving us with no helpful suggestions. At this point, we decide to call the girl that gave him to us. Our friend, we decided she gave him to us, and we decided to call her because we figured if it did come to having to put him down that she would want to be there. For it. So we give her a call and she says, okay, I'm coming down, and she comes down with her boyfriend because they gave BMO to us when he was a kitten. They get there. My boyfriend's dad winds up coming. My boyfriend's name is Matt, in case I slip up and say Matt instead of my boyfriend, just so you don't get confused. His dad winds up coming just to, like, be there to support us because we're obviously very upset, and the cat lives with them, so, like, they, you know, love him too. Everybody's here, and we're all just talking, and we're like, okay. At this point, we're at the point where we're like, okay, at home, I have this much money. At home, I have this much money. And between the, like, 5 of us, well, I mean, Matt's dad couldn't really help, but between, like, me and my boyfriend, Kaylin, and her boyfriend, between us, we were trying to pool our money together to at least get something done for him. So that was the point that we were at. Again, they come in and say, have you made a choice yet? He's under sedation. He's going to wake up. If he wakes up, you're going to have to sedate him again, and you're going to have to pay for that. Gee, thanks. We're just hysterical at this point. They keep coming in and pressuring us, and I understand from, like, a medical standpoint that, yeah, that's something that probably had to happen, that he couldn't stay sedated forever. Obviously, that's not a good thing. But they kept shoving it in our faces, and it wasn't even like, "Aw, sweetie," or "Aw, you guys, I'm really sorry." They were just completely stoic and unsympathetic and did not, like, seem to give a care at all. At this point, I immediately start trying to call my dad again, over and over and over and over and over again, until he finally picks up the phone. And he goes, like, oh my gosh, like, that's terrible. Can I pay with my credit card over the phone? And I was like, can he pay with his credit card over the phone? They say yes, and we are completely relieved. I was like, Dad, I'll pay you. Like, I could take my time to pay my father back. Like, it's fine. He was totally cool with it, and I am so grateful that he picks up the phone that day and paid with his credit card. Like, I don't know where I'd be if that didn't happen, so thank you, Dad. Great. Our cat's gonna get treatment. We decided to do the most expensive one that was gonna completely cure him. Like, voila. So with that treatment comes a 3-day hospital stay. So our cat, he had to stay there for 3 days. With this treatment comes x-rays. He had to have a catheter so that they can unblock him and help him use the bathroom. All that kind of stuff. And maybe around the second day, before I went to work, I called the vet's office to just check on him to see how he was doing. And mind you, I called them, and it was already almost 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't know when exactly what happened, but it was almost 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I called them. When I called them to ask how he was doing, they go in the back and they check, and they come back on the phone with me and say, oh, he ripped his catheter out last night. Last night. It's 1 in the afternoon. And we needed to reinsert it, or we need to reinsert it. It's 1 in the afternoon. We need to reinsert the catheter and take more x-rays because he ripped it out, and it's going to be an extra something like $160 $20. It was going to be extra $120 or something. And from what we were made to understand, that when we put him in there, that the $1,200 that we paid them was going to cover all of his treatment. And I don't know, I'm not a doctor, I don't understand, but I do know usually in a hospital, because I had some of my friends who are nurses say this, that they don't charge you extra to put something back in, especially when it's not my fault that he ripped it out. It's not my fault that no one was watching him to make sure that that didn't happen. That was all incredibly frustrating, and I say, like, why was nobody watching him? Are you kidding me? It's not my fault that he ripped it out. Why did that happen? Like, I get he's an animal, like, stuff like that happens. But I feel like maybe someone should have been watching him. I don't know, is that just me? From what I understood, the price that we paid already, we paid a lot of money already, that was to cover his entire treatment, you know, whatever should happen. And she said no, and then again, immediately, well, if you can't pay for the recatheter and the x-rays, then I would highly suggest you putting him down. Again, the vet said, we highly suggest you putting him down. Whoever I spoke to on the phone that day was again pushing me to put my 1-year-old cat with a curable condition down. At this point, I'm just really frustrated, and I say, yes, sure, just do it, whatever, I'll figure it out later. At this point, after I got off the phone with this woman, and I was just very frustrated about everything that was happening, very scared, very worried about my cat, so I go on my Facebook and I just made a status about how I was feeling, all the frustration, what happened with them having to put the catheter back in, all of that stuff. Just venting, really, you know. And I did not once mention the vet's name in the status, and this is going to be really important later. I did not call out the vet, I just expressed my frustrations. I did say the word like vet and, you know, stuff like that in it, but I did not straight up call out like, this vet did this. I did not once mention their name. I don't know, I'm not that kind of person. But I did make the status, it did happen. Keep that in mind, in your brains, for the end. Finally, the day comes when we're gonna go ahead and pick our cat up. And we're super excited to finally have him home. We go in there to get him, and we're taken to a room, and he's not in the room yet. This doctor I've never seen before comes into the room and goes, "Hi, I wasn't here all weekend. I'm going to read from this paper. It's the doctor's notes who was here over the weekend." And she just reads from a paper about our cat's treatment. She's like, no idea. She had no idea any of the stuff that happened. She was not there, and she's literally just reading notes. So we felt a little uncomfortable there. After she reads off this piece of paper about what happened to our cat that she's like probably never even seen before, she explains that we have to pay something like $230 for medicine, which we thought was included in the $1,200 that we already had to pay, but surprise, it was not. So she, you know, says what medications he's going to be, explain what we have to do, explain that he has a cone on, and that he can't have the cone taken off for about 4 days. She said 4 days. Don't take the cone off for 4 days. So we, surprise, surprise, pay a bunch of money for medicine, even though we thought that was included in the original price, and take our cat home finally with this big old cone on his head. So we get him home, he has this big old cone on his head, and he literally can't function, he can't eat. We had to like stack CDs so that he could reach his bowl without spilling all everywhere. We had to get a bin lid so that he could use the litter box because he couldn't get into his litter box. He had no idea how to function. We're like monitoring him every 5 seconds, like a little baby, making sure like, oh good, you went to the bathroom a little bit, like praising him for just like peeing a little bit, because they were like, as long as he starts peeing on his own, you're good. Just keep giving him the medicine. As long as he's going, even if it's a little bit, you're in the clear. Great. So he's doing that, and they said, you know, call if you have any questions. We did have a question. We called maybe 2 days into him having the cone, saying that he's so unhappy and not, I feel like his healing process would be a lot better. When can we take the cone off again? They said about 4 days, maybe can we take it off a little earlier? Just asking questions about the cone. And the person on the phone goes, oh no, you can't take the cone off after 4 days. He needs to wear it for 10. Get your facts straight, people. So now apparently he has to wear the cone for 10 days, and like, we don't know because we're not doctors. And we had to figure out something else to do because he just was so unhappy. We wound up getting him a soft collar, which is really good to get. You should look it up if you ever need your pet to have a cone. It's like a big pillow that you put around their neck, but they could still have full function and eat and use the bathroom and everything. So we wound up getting him that, and as soon as he got that, he started getting better right away. He was so much happier, he started acting like himself, and that was really great. Right. So now we have a checkup with these people again to make sure that his kidneys are okay and to make sure that everything is fine and nothing was damaged while he was sick. We call them the day before the appointment just to make, confirm that we have the appointment and just confirm everything. And the person on the phone goes, "Oh no, you can't come back here." And we were like, "Excuse me? What do you mean that we can't come back here?" She goes, "You publicly and unethically humiliated us, so we think that you would be happier going somewhere else." What? We were really confused. What did we do? Was it because we were crying in the office because you were telling us to put our 1-year-old cat down and pressuring us into making a decision? But I don't know. I had no idea what we did. The woman on the phone then proceeds to tell us, "Oh, well, we mailed you a packet about it." Meanwhile, this apparent packet that they mailed us had to be signed for, and no one was home at Matt's house to sign for it, so unknowing to us, it was stuck at the post office and we had to go pick it up. We said, "We never received a package. What are you talking about?" And she explained to us that it probably had to be signed for and that we probably had to go pick it up from the post office. Let me tell you, good thing that we called, because what if we just walked into the vet that day without calling to confirm our appointment? Would they have turned us away? They would have publicly and unethically humiliated us. So, great. Now our appointment is canceled and we have to go pick up this apparent packet they mailed us with all of his information and an explanation as to why we publicly and unethically humiliated them. So, we go to the post office and pick up the packet, and lo and behold, guess what's inside the packet? Guess what the public and unethic humiliation was? My Facebook status. This vet somehow, I still to this day have not figured it out because I did not mention their name in my Facebook status. They found my Facebook status, mailed it to us in the mail, and said it was publicly and unethically humiliating them and that we weren't allowed to come back. How creepy and weird is that? Are you kidding me? After everything that you just put us through with telling us to put our cat down like 600 times, not working with us with payments, being rude and cold to us, and all of the other things that we just went through, like, really? If somebody knows how they could have possibly found my Facebook status, like, please let me know. Because I think that that's really creepy. Everything on my personal Facebook is private, like private. Like, you can't do stuff with my Facebook, so I really don't know how they found them. The only reason that I could think of is that maybe someone in the comments mentioned the vet's name and that's how they found it, but still, like, why were they creeping all over the internet looking for bad statuses about them and then mailing people their statuses and telling them they can't come back? Needless to say, my cat didn't have the appointment. So we didn't go back. They mailed us a letter, like, passively aggressively saying that we would be happier somewhere else. And we never went back to that vet again. So that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the crazy vet story. BMO is proudly 2 years illness free. They did tell us that the condition could be reoccurring, which is another reason why they kept pushing us to put him down. Like, if you don't have the money now, you're never gonna have the money, and the condition's reoccurring, so you should just put him down. Like, no, I'm sorry. Like, I'm in a better place now. I have ways that I could pay for it now. It would have been really stupid for me to, at that point, with all those weird circumstances, to put him down. He's fine. He's proudly 2 years illness free, so hi. Moral of the story? Make sure you always have an emergency fund for your pets so that you don't get into any sort of situation like this. And that's really it. I don't know how they found my Facebook status and why they mailed it to me. I thought that that was really weird and really strange. I thought that how they treated us was not good. The, like, holding that he was sedated over our heads, pressuring us to put him down, not working. I understand that a lot of vets can't work with payment plans. I get it. I understand. But they really could have handled the situation a little bit better, I feel. And we just left feeling, you know, really wronged and really, like, bullied, honestly. So, yeah, we have yet to find another vet that we really enjoy. We're kind of like, you know, traumatized from this experience now, and, you know, but our cat is 2 years illness free. He's doing just fine despite all of this. Well, that's really it. I'm gonna end the video because my camera keeps overheating and I keep forgetting where I was, so I'm sorry if this is weird right now. But yeah, let me know down below if you've ever had a really horrible, or what you think is a really horrible vet experience, any weird vet experiences. I'd like to hear about them. And, you know, if I was, like, wrong about anything in this video, you know, please let me know. Like, this is just, I don't really know that much about it, but I did feel really bullied and uncomfortable, and how weird is it that they found my Facebook status, and creeped out by the situation. Just thought it was very weird. When I told all my friends about what happened, they all thought it was, like, super wrong and super weird to have us go through all of that. So, I don't know, but let me know about your weird vet stories down below. If you like this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up. Click that shiny red button down below. Subscribe. Also check the description box to like and follow me on all of my social media, as well as to check out my second channel where I narrate scary stories. So I'll see you guys next time. And remember, if you can share a meme, you could share a video. So share this video with a friend. Bye!